Hi, this is Sumit, and now I'm gonna give you a demo about AutoML. This demo is a part of assignment for ET 610, and AutoML is an ML tool provided by Google Cloud. So AutoML allows users who have limited knowledge of machine learning algorithms to apply and deploy machine learning models and deep learning models to their datasets directly, and also provides seamless integrated pipelines for a scalable usage. So they can even have custom machine learning models which they can deploy, and they can also define their own models or use AutoML models for the same. Now Google has integrated AutoML into Vertex AI. So Vertex AI is a unified platform which provides user the ability of both pre-processing and post-processing the dataset and results respectively after using the model. So within the AutoML model, we have different types of models based on what kind of data it is processing. So we have AutoML tabular, we have AutoML image, video, text, and translation. Also, Google provides a very clear documentation for all the tools which it has in AutoML as well as in Vertex AI. So the user can read accordingly and do the task whatever they want to. So now we'll quickly jump to the Vertex AI dashboard. So Vertex AI dashboard, once we log in into the Google Cloud, looks something like this. So we have three options. We have one option to create a new data set. We can train a new model on a particular data set that we have created, and finally, if we have the trained model, we can make a batch prediction. So we'll look at all of them one by one. So create data set. Once we click on it, it shows us different types of data that you can create, and within those data, for example in image, we have different types of tasks that can be performed. So for an image, we can do classification, we can do object detection or image segmentation, and accordingly we'll have to upload the required data set. In the tabular, we have regression or classification tasks on the tabular data, or we have forecasting tasks. Then in the text, we have semantic analysis or entity extraction, and classification tasks similar to images, single label and multi label both. In video also, we have classification tasks, we have object tracking as well as action recognition. So here I'll give you an example of the tabular data. So suppose I want to create a classification model from some tabular data that I have. So I'll just click on create after choosing this, and it will just create a data set for me. Now I can upload CSV file from my computer, which will have the table corresponding to it, or I can use a table from the BigQuery directly, which is the database of the Google Cloud. So here maybe I have a data set which I downloaded from Kaggle. So I use a train file from that, and I have to define the folder in which I want to save my file. So for example, suppose I create a new bucket called air demo. Then it will be asking you some questions about whether you want to show that to public access on you want to that is related to encryption, since data ethics are important as we learned in the class previously. So we want to protect data user data at all costs, and with respect to that, Google Cloud AutoML takes a lot of care of the data being stored on the cloud server. Anyways, so the data is uploaded, and now we can train the model on it, and we can also initially generate statistics. So generating statistics takes some time, so I'll just quickly show you the one I loaded previously. So as you can see, we have distinct values in that particular field, and the number of fields that we have in it. So there are 24 fields, and out of this, one is the target field, that is satisfaction, and one is ID, and rest are some input fields. So this is the airline passenger satisfaction data. It has these input features for the particular client, and based on that they want to predict whether the client is satisfied by the airline service or not. So once we have uploaded the CSV and we have generated statistics, we are good to go with training the model. So training the model is quite easy as well. We just need to click on create here. We need to choose the data set. We need to choose the objective here. So we can do classification or regression. Since we have categorical data to be predicted, so we'll choose classification. Then we'll just choose AutoML. We can also choose custom training, where we will have to give a particular model code to the cloud which will be trained on it. Now AutoML generates that model directly, whichever best suits to the need. And we can choose create new model, or we can have an earlier model and train a new version for the same. So since we are creating a new model, so we'll just choose train new model here. We will give a name to the model. I'll just keep it as it is for now. And then we need to choose the target column. So this will be the output column that so we here want the satisfaction to be predicted, so we'll choose that. Then we'll just continue, and all the columns are to be taken as input. Of course satisfaction is the output column, and we don't want ID to be an input feature, because ID will be unique for every entry, and that does not make sense to include it. And now we need to give the number of hours we want to train this model. So since Google Cloud charges you per hour of the cloud that you have used, so according to your budget you need to specify that. And once you have specified that, you can start training. So I'll not just click on training right now because I already have a model in pipeline. I'll show you that. So this one is training. I have previously put it on training, so I'll show you how it looks like. So yeah, as you can see, it is trying to optimize for AUC ROC, which is a good measure for classification task. And as you can see here, the training performance, it is being maximized, it is increasing, right? And this model is currently training. So now let's look how it looks like once the training is done. So now I have this model here which I put on training previously, and the training of it is complete. I'll show you that. So as you can see clearly, um it does an evaluation for the model, and it generates a confusion matrix telling you how the model has performed. It gives all the values metrics related to uh, the model, which gives an insight of the model's performance. It gives you loss values, F1 score, precision recall, and AUC ROC as well. And you have the relevant graphs associated with them as well. We have the confusion metrics. Also we can change the confidence threshold, and as you'll see, these values will be altered accordingly. So if it is quite high, then of course uh, these values will be high as well. But we don't want that to be high, because that will be overfitting on the training data. Now we it also gives you insights about feature importance based on the parameters that it has learned. So based on weights that it has learned, so which particular feature is having more say in the final output, you can think of it like that. So type of travel here is the most important one, and gender is the least important one in predicting whether the user is satisfied or not. So now there is also deploy and test pipeline available for the same. So once you click on deploy to endpoint, it allows you to, I'll just show you that. So it is quite easy to create an endpoint as well. You need to just define the name of the endpoint. you need to define this what kind of access it should have. So maybe I just say name it air demo 1. Then you need to add model to it, you need to add its version. So suppose I chose airplane 1. Then since I've already trained one version of the same, so it will have one version. And we can define traffic split, so it is for the larger use cases. Just drop that, and we can click done. So now we will need to choose model monitoring. So this will continuously monitor the data, whether it is performing as per the expectation or not. So this is it, and then there are modeling objectives, so you need to fill the required things and click on create. So I created one for airplane 1, the particular model which we were training. So it looks something like this. So it is also showing how many predictions we have done through it, right? So as you can see, uh, so I'll just quickly explain what an endpoint actually means. So endpoint, you can think of it like one point or one piece of link which a user can use on its end to access the model, right? Model will act as a black box for the user, and the user can just input the features and generate the corresponding output from it without thinking of what the model is doing, right? And using these API end calls, we can directly integrate it with the backend in both REST API as well as Python API, as you can see here, right? Now I'll just run an example and show you how it performs on it. So in the training, I had deploy and test. So since we have already deployed it, so we can easily test the model here. So here we have input some values, say gender, ID, and everything for a particular user, whichever input features were there, and we click on predict. So it directly predicts the result for the same. So this particular user is neutral or dissatisfied, and we are also given the baseline prediction value and confidence score for the result that we have generated. Um, we can also perform batch prediction, which takes a group of prediction requests simultaneously. So as we can see, endpoint only takes one input at a time. Endpoint API call takes only one input at a time. So batch prediction can be used when you have to give multiple inputs together and generate results for them and save them. So yeah, this is all about Vertex AI and AutoML. Also, in training, it allows us to tune hyperparameters and create multiple instances of the training sessions and compare the models for optimizing on hyperparameters and do the experiments related to that. Thanks a lot.